Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new, my name is Anna. I want to do my wrap-up of the month, and I actually keep a book journal just because most of the books I read are either library books or I read them on Kindle, and that way I can actually kind of see how much I read. But this month I read 14 books. 14 books. Why did I think it was 15? Okay, so the first book that I read is Love on the Brain, and I love that book. I love the writing of it. Like, that was the first book I read of Ali Hazelwood, and it was nothing that I've ever read that was so similar to her. It was almost like as soon as you start reading it, you just, you know, you're flying through the pages. I loved her writing style. It was enemies to lovers, trope in a rom-com, but I gave it 4.5 stars pure. But it's the female main character and the male main character. They're enemies since college times, and both of them are collaborating on this science project, which, by the way, I wasn't sure if I would like the book because it's based around science, but the way that it's based around science, you don't even feel like you're reading science. Like, the female main character just seemed a little childish for my liking. The ending went kind of from 0 to 100 real quick, and I want to read more of Ali Hazelwood. 100%. The Evidence of the Affair by Taylor Jenkins Reid novella, and I loved it because I was going through a reading slump. Going from Love on the Brain to something like this, I loved it because, you know, when you love a book so much and then going into another book, it's dreading. At least for me, I find it so difficult to start another book, but then I read through this book so fast. And it's literally based about this woman who discovers letters from her husband's mistress, who is also married, and so she writes to the mistress's husband asking for this favor to get these letters, to read through them, to maybe get a better understanding of what's happening. And I just loved how realistic it was. And did I wish there would have been another ending? Yes, I did, because obviously the ending that happened, it made sense, but also I wanted it to go another route so badly. Heartwarming, the fact that these two characters, you know, get along and that they share this journey together, and there's no one like Taylor Jenkins Reid to actually make you attached to these two characters, and within like less than 90 pages. Like, I loved it. I gave it 3 stars, but now thinking about it, I feel like I should have given it 4 stars. And the tropes for this would be second chance, cheating obviously, and betrayal. The next book I read is The Family Upstairs by Lisa Jewell, and it was my first book that I read of hers, and it was a thriller, and so it's a family drama and pregnancy, but 3.5 stars. So you get 3 points of views, and then you also get 2 timelines, so the current timeline and what was happening back then in the house. And so the house gets inherited to this girl who turns 25, so she's adopted, and as soon as she inherits this house, she finds all these questions of what really happened in here, because she has a little snippets of what happened, of it being written in the newspapers and stuff, but she really wants to know what really exactly happened in that house. And so the mystery begins. But there's a bunch of plot twists, and the ending really got to me. I did not see the ending really coming, but there's a sequel to this book, and I really want to read the next book. The next book that I read is Runaway Groomsman by Megan Quinn. Again, the first book I read of hers, and I loved how funny the book was, and just so sarcastic and so witty. I loved it, but the last third of the book felt so rushed, and that's why I gave it 3 stars, 3.5 stars. But it's small town and second chance romance, and it's 2 points of views between a her and a him, and there's only 1 timeline. I thought it was like a very realistic kind of story. It felt very real because of the small town, obviously. My neck, my back. And the next book that I read is The No Show by Beth O'Leary, and I gave that book 4 stars. But the tropes for this were second chance romance, friends to lover, afraid to commit. The only reason why I gave it 4 stars is because the main character, right, I found him a bit not likable, and then I see what the author tried to do and it just wasn't redeemable enough for me. Funny enough, there just wasn't enough time in the book, but I guess I see where the author was going with it. But I enjoyed the story and it kept me guessing. So anyways, the book is about literally these 3 women who get each of their point of view in the book, and they get all stood up by this man. To me, it would have been a great thriller, honestly. What happened to the man? Did he get killed? Why did he go missing? And why are all these 3 women involved? Why are they, like, what are they doing? Like, I would have ate it up if it was a thriller, but it wasn't. I did not see it as a romance book. I felt more it was like character development driven book, not a romance book really. Like the romance would have been more of a subplot in it, but there's a plot twist at the end, and the ending, the turn that it took at the end wasn't my favorite, and that was the first time that I came across of this sort of ending, and I completely understand to anyone and everyone who would complain. Then the next book that I read is The Perfect Wife, and so it's a psychological suspense thriller, and it's basically about this couple who end up moving to suburbs, and it kind of felt very slow, like nothing was happening, but at the same time everything was happening. The ending, I kind of saw it was a bit predictable, but it's always the most innocent ones, aren't they? Always. The next book that I read is a dark romance book, and I actually really liked it. Now hear me out. So it's called The Director, right? And it's about this Russian mobster, you know, living in Chicago, and he owns this building. Who lives in it is mostly, I believe, Russian. And so there's two points of views between him and her, but it was super short. It was just about 200 pages. So obviously there was some spice happening in the book, but right off the bat, when the story starts, it's Lucy's point of view, and she's, I think, 5 months pregnant. So it's not a spoiler at all. Like right off the bat, she's pregnant. Like, and it's this book about her, you know, going about while she's pregnant and trying to sort out what's happening between her and, what was his name? Anyways, doesn't matter what's his name. Baby daddy, that's what I'm gonna call him. But I loved the book because there wasn't much toxicity in it, or at least not in my eyes. Like, if there is toxicity, I don't want to hear it. But literally, he was just, listen, I get why some people actually said he was just too soft, too vulnerable. I can't see him as, you know, Russian mafia and stuff, but he was just that towards her, right? Well, there were some instances as well, but the only thing is, it cringed me out. Like, I gave the book 4.5 stars. Like, it cringed me out to the point where I couldn't give it 5 stars. He kept calling her kitten pretty much in every single reference that he made to her, every time that he talked to her, and I could not look past it. Like, how many times can you call her kitten? Like, come on. And also the Russian in it, like, couple gists, like, I could understand like what the author meant, but the Russian in it wasn't too perfect. Like, it wasn't to the very T, but it's irrelevant. Nobody who properly understands Russian would have cared. The next book that I read is The Daughter of No Worlds by Carissa Broadbent. To me, I love that book. It was my next ACOTAR. Like, honestly, it's probably not the next ACOTAR. Gave it 5 stars, by the way. It's a fantasy book, and there's 2 points of views. The first point of view is between Tisana, who's the main character. So she's a slave who purchased her freedom, and so she's on her journey to fight justice for the rest of the slaves that she's left behind and her friends and all that, and she wants to set them free as well. and so she gets under the orders, so she needs to basically be approved by them. And so there's two types of magic in this world, and you know, she gets sent off to Max, and the main character is just so determined and she's very likable. But then Max, who's supposed to be her teacher, her tutor, and they don't get along from the very beginning, so he's trying to quit the orders and he's trying to get away from that lifestyle. And suddenly Tisana gets dropped off on his doorstep, and you know, it's his mission to make sure that she gets all the tricks and, you know, gets learned the proper way, gets taught. But I absolutely loved the friendship between both of these characters. Like, I loved, you know, to see how they changed throughout the book, and I loved it. The ending of this was 5 out of the 5. The next books that I read is actually a series. I have the third book right here. The first book in the series is called The Friend Zone. I gave it 4 stars. Like, the main character was just too stubborn for my likeness, and in all fairness, I just felt like the book would have been much shorter if the main character wouldn't have been just so stubborn. I honestly got at some stages I just wanted to throw the book. The main male character, I loved him. He was just so cute, so adorable. Just, I loved him. Like, I wish I had one of him. But the story is literally between these two characters, Kristen and Josh, how they become friends, and he's giving her a hand, obviously getting paid for it as well, but he's become her carpenter on a side job, side hustle, and you know, their friendship flourishes, and it's just so cute and so adorable. The story was cute, but I just, yeah, the main character, Kristen, really just stubborn. Really actually reminded me of Normal People, and if you like Normal People, I feel like you might like the book. Second book in the series, now that's a whole other topic. What was it called? The Happy Ever After Playlist. Now, this book, I gave it 5 stars, and I love this book. This one is actually focused on Kristen's best friend, Sloane. I really felt like this book really had to be done, because the second book gave her the story that should have, you know, she deserved in the first book, and it's everything that she deserved and everything and more. I loved it. It was my favorite, and the tropes in it were celebrity. I feel like if I said the second trope, it would have been a dead giveaway of what happened in the first book for her. But you get 2 points of views again, his and hers, and there's one current timeline, so it's easy to follow. And it was like just the cutest story ever, and I could definitely feel the chemistry between the two characters, you know, how realistic, you know, their love was. I loved it. I just have nothing else to say. But then Life's Too Short is actually the last and the third book in the series, and now I gave this book 3 stars. I just felt very meh about the book. It was just like, listen, fight me on this. But I felt like this book just, not that it didn't need to be done, but I felt like it didn't need to be done. Now hear me out. This book is based on, what was his name? Adrian, who is a cousin of Josh's from the first book. I really just thought that there would be a third book. But other than that, it just felt like very unnecessary. And so the tropes in this were a single mom, illness, friends to lovers, a celebrity. Now the only thing I will say, I loved at the very beginning of every chapter, right, there were these funny little remarks, you know, that it says, if you have this symptom, you might be dying. Like, I love those little snippets. People say, as a mother, as a parent, right, reading this book, I was like, huh? Like, what happened to the baby? Where did you give the baby? Like, and the main character just kept giving the baby to every single person, like, oh, you take her, you take her. And the baby was purely used out of prop. It was literally. Then the next book is Daisy Darker. And can we talk about the cover? Like, I love the cover. It's a thriller. This one I actually really loved, and I couldn't put the book down until the very end. The very end, I was just like, what the actual hell? like the ending made sense kind of, but at the same time it was nothing that I would have expected. It really threw me off. Then again, it's the most innocent person that you would expect this. But it's family drama with a dark secret, and the other trope I can't say because otherwise it would be a dead giveaway. But it's between this main character, Daisy Darker, who's going to see her grandmother for her 80th birthday. That's around Halloween time, and so is the rest of the family. And they're not close family members at all. Flashbacks leading up to the dark secret, to the discovery of what exactly happened between all these family members and why are they no longer on good terms. And the next book that I read is It Didn't Start With You. Now, so as a palate cleanser, I do like to read a self-help book every now and then, right? But this book, like, I gave it 3 stars, but I also didn't completely agree with the book. You can argue with me on this one, but I definitely don't agree the fact that, like, to fix yourself you need to get in touch, you know, solve your issues with your family or friends or whoever. That's totally not the case. I feel like you can totally forgive, forget, and move on, accept whatever happened has happened. It is what it is. Because, like, if it's toxic, it still will be toxic. Like, it's something to do with you internally, personally. It's something that you will have a chat with someone and invite them back in your life and it will fix everything, you know, that kind of thing. Now, the last book that I read, it's my first Rebecca Yarros book, and it's Things We Leave Unfinished. And I had it on my TBR for a while, and it's purely because, like, I felt like it was gonna be too political. It's based on Scarlett and Jameson, who are in 1940s war, and it's their story of how they fall in love and how they go about it. And I love that part. Honestly, that was my favorite part. I thought it wouldn't be. And it's this historical romance, and you can feel the chemistry, you can feel just like the risk that they're going through. However, the contemporary part of the romance between her grandmother, between her granddaughter and her love interest, it just felt a bit of a letdown, especially the very end agreement. Their argument was just so silly. But I gave this book 4 stars. But I also found it intriguing to know what exactly happened, because the whole point of this book was Georgia, who's the granddaughter, lets an author to finish the last third of the book of her grandmother's, who is Scarlett. And once these letters are found, you get these questions of why exactly did they stop and what exactly happened. And the ending, the plot twist, I really did not expect it. Like, it isn't a thriller. Like, I did not expect it. Like, I don't know why. But yeah, these are the 15 books that I read. But yeah, I'll see you guys in my next one.